Please, someone, anyone. I'm being followed, and I don't know what to do. Margot's fingers tremble as she types the message, her breath coming in short, panicked bursts. She meant to text her sister Claire, but in her terror, in the dark parking lot behind the diner where she's worked double shifts for the past 3 years, she's mistyped a single digit. The phone screen illuminates her pale face, casting shadows under her eyes that speak of too many sleepless nights and too many bills she can't pay. The footsteps behind her grow louder, closer. Her phone buzzes immediately. The response makes her heart stop. Stay exactly where you are. I'm already there. She spins around, her back pressed against her decade-old sedan, and that's when she sees him. He's standing between her and the man who'd been following her from the diner's back door, and he wasn't there 3 seconds ago. She's certain of it. The parking lot was empty except for her and the threat, and now there's this stranger, this impossibly tall man in a black coat that seems to absorb the weak streetlight rather than reflect it. I believe the lady wants to be left alone, the stranger says, and his voice carries a weight that makes the air itself feel heavier. The man who'd been following Margot, a regular customer who'd been making increasingly uncomfortable comments about her smile, her figure, how she must be lonely since she never wears a ring, takes a step back. Then another. His face has gone sheet white. I was just... The regular stumbles over his words, and Margot notices something strange. The man isn't looking at her rescuer's face. He's staring at his eyes, and he looks absolutely terrified. Leave, don't come back. If I see you near this establishment again, if I even sense your presence within 5 blocks of this woman, I will be profoundly displeased. The stranger doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Do you understand me? The regular runs. Actually runs, his footsteps echoing off the brick walls of the surrounding buildings until the sound fades completely. Margot's rescuer turns to face her, and she finally sees his eyes. They're an unusual color, gray, but not quite gray. Silver, perhaps, with something luminous behind them that can't quite be natural. His face is striking in a way that makes her forget to breathe. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, dark hair that's slightly disheveled, as though he's been moving very fast. He looks to be in his early 30s, dressed in expensive clothes that seem completely out of place behind a 24-hour diner in this forgotten part of town. You're safe now, he says, and his voice is gentler than it was a moment ago, though no less commanding. Margot's phone is still clutched in her hand. She looks down at it, then back up at him. How did you... I just sent that message 30 seconds ago. And you said you were already here, but you weren't. I looked. The parking lot was empty. Something flickers across his face, not quite a smile, but close. I was close by. Nobody's ever close by this place. We're in the industrial district. Her voice shakes, adrenaline and confusion making her bolder than she'd normally be. Who are you? He hesitates, and in that hesitation, Margot sees something unexpected. Uncertainty. As if this powerful man who just scared off her stalker with nothing but his presence doesn't know how to answer a simple question. My name is Theron, he finally says. Theron Castellane. And you are? Margot Reeves. She's still pressed against her car, her waitress uniform stained with coffee and grease from tonight's shift. She's suddenly, painfully aware of how she must look. Her blonde hair is falling out of its ponytail. Her sneakers have a hole in the left toe, and there's a ketchup stain on her collar that wouldn't come out no matter how hard she scrubbed. Thank you for whatever that was. He's been getting worse every night this week. My manager says I'm overreacting, that Terry's harmless, but you know better. Theron takes a small step closer, and Margot notices he moves with unusual grace. A woman's instincts about danger are rarely wrong. They're often the only thing keeping her alive. Something about the way he says it makes her think he knows this from experience. Personal experience. I should let you go, Margot says, though she finds she doesn't want to. There's something about this man that makes her feel safer than she's felt in months. Years, maybe. It's late, and I'm sure you have somewhere to be. Theron glances at her car. His expression shifts almost imperceptibly. Is your vehicle reliable? Margot feels heat rise to her cheeks. She gets me where I need to go. That wasn't my question. His silver eyes find hers, and she has the strangest sensation that he can see right through her, past all the brave faces and the reassurances she gives herself at 3 a.m. when she's adding up bills she can't pay. The transmission's been making a grinding sound, she admits. But the mechanic wants $800 I don't have, so she'll have to keep grinding until I can pick up more shifts. It's 1 a.m. You just worked a double. How many more shifts can you possibly take? The question, asked in that same gentle but commanding tone, nearly breaks something in her. When was the last time anyone asked about her well-being? When was the last time anyone noticed she was drowning? I manage, she says, lifting her chin with what little pride she has left. Theron studies her for a long moment. Let me drive you home. I don't know you. No, he agrees. But you texted me for help, and I'm not in the habit of leaving things unfinished. That man is gone for now, but men like him often wait. They watch. They learn patterns. He pauses. Humor me. Let me ensure you arrive safely. Your car will be perfectly secure here until morning, and I'll arrange to have it towed to a reputable mechanic I know. Consider it payment for disturbing your evening. You didn't disturb my evening. You saved it. Margot bites her lip. Everything about this is a terrible idea. Getting into a car with a stranger, letting him know where she lives, accepting help she can't repay. But there's something about Theron that makes her usual caution feel less important than it should. Okay, thank you. His car is parked 2 spaces down, and Margot didn't see it before either, which should be impossible because it's a sleek black vehicle that probably costs more than she'll make in 5 years. The interior smells like leather and something else, something crisp and expensive that she can't identify. As Theron drives, following her quietly spoken directions, Margot studies him from the corner of her eye. His hands on the steering wheel are strong, elegant, with long fingers that handle the vehicle with casual expertise. He's not wearing a wedding ring. There's a watch on his left wrist that catches the passing streetlights, something platinum or white gold, definitely custom made. What do you do? She asks, then immediately regrets the question. It's none of her business. But Theron doesn't seem offended. I manage certain interests, property, investments, affairs that require discretion. That's delightfully vague. This time he does smile, and the expression transforms his entire face. He goes from intimidating to devastating, and Margot has to look away before she says something embarrassing. I value my privacy, he says, but I'll tell you this much. I'm very good at solving problems that seem unsolvable. They pull up in front of Margot's apartment building, and she feels the familiar shame wash over her. The place is a dump. Peeling paint, flickering security light, the faint smell of garbage from the overflowing dumpster around the side. She lives here because it's all she can afford after her ex-husband left her with nothing but debt and a crushing sense of failure. Thank you again, she says quickly, reaching for the door handle. For everything. You really didn't have to... Margot. The way he says her name stops her completely. May I give you my number? The correct one, this time. She turns back to him, surprised. Why? Because I'd like you to have it. In case you need help again. Or... He pauses, and that uncertainty flickers across his face once more. Or in case you'd like to have coffee. When you're not exhausted from a double shift. Margot's heart does something complicated in her chest. Men like Theron Castellane don't ask women like her for coffee. They just don't. She wants to say yes so badly it physically hurts, but the realistic part of her, the part that's been beaten down by life and circumstance, knows this can't be real. I don't think we run in the same circles, she says softly. I don't want circles. I want coffee. With you. His silver eyes hold hers. Say yes, Margot. And because she's tired, because he's beautiful, because he saved her and didn't make her feel weak for needing saving, she does. Yes. She gives him her number, the correct one this time, and practically floats up to her third-floor apartment. It's only when she's inside, door locked and chain secured, that she lets herself think about how strange the entire encounter was. How Theron appeared out of nowhere. How Terry ran like he'd seen something monstrous. How Theron moved, spoke, looked at her. All of it just slightly off from normal human behavior. Her phone buzzes. A text from the number she'd accidentally reached. "Sleep well, Margot. You're safe tonight. I'll make certain of it." She should find that creepy. Instead, she finds it comforting. She falls asleep easier than she has in months. The next morning, Margot wakes to find 3 missed calls from the diner and a text from her manager, Sandra, that makes her stomach drop. "Terry filed a complaint against you, said you had your boyfriend threaten him. Corporate's involved. We need to talk. Come in at noon." Margot sits on her threadbare couch, still in the oversized t-shirt she sleeps in, and tries not to cry. Of course this is what happens. She tries to protect herself, and somehow it becomes her fault. Terry's been harassing her for weeks, but he's the one who files a complaint. He's probably friends with someone in corporate. He's got money, influence, all the things she doesn't have. She's going to lose her job. She knows it with sick certainty. And without the diner, she's got nothing. No savings, no safety net, no options. Her phone rings. Theron's name appears on the screen, and she almost doesn't answer because she can't handle one more thing right now. Can't handle whatever he wants from her that she can't give. But she does answer. "Hello?" "Margot. What's wrong?" His voice is sharp with concern. "How did you—" She stops. Her voice must have given her away. "It's nothing, just work stuff." "Tell me." And she does. The whole pathetic story spills out of her. Terry's complaints, how her manager never took her seriously, how she's probably going to lose the job she hates but desperately needs. She tells him about the debt her ex left her with, the car that's dying, the apartment that costs too much for what it is. She tells him things she hasn't told anyone, and she doesn't even know why, except that he asked, and his voice made her feel like the truth was safe with him. When she finishes, there's a long silence. "Don't go in at noon," Theron finally says. "I have to. If I don't show up, I'm definitely fired." "Margot, trust me. Don't go in. Stay home. I'll handle this." "You can't handle this. Corporate's involved, and Terry probably knows someone important, and I'm just a waitress who's easily replaced." "You are not easily replaced." The words come out hard, almost angry. "You are not disposable. And Terry Hoffman is about to learn a very difficult lesson about consequences." "How do you know his last name?" "I never told you his last name." Another pause. "I'm very good at getting information I need." Something about this should alarm her. Instead, Margot feels a strange thrill run down her spine. "Theron, what are you going to do?" "What I should have done last night. I'm going to fix this, permanently." His voice softens. "Do you trust me?" She shouldn't. She barely knows him. But somehow, impossibly, she does. "Yes." "Good. Stay home. Rest." "Have you eaten today?" The question catches her off guard. No, not yet." "There will be food delivered to your apartment within the hour. And Margot?" He pauses. "Everything's going to be fine. I promise you." He hangs up before she can protest, and Margot is left staring at her phone, wondering what just happened. The food arrives 45 minutes later. Not pizza or Chinese takeout, but an actual meal from a restaurant she's never heard of. The kind of place that uses real plates and cloth napkins. There's salmon with asparagus, a side salad with dressing that tastes homemade, fresh bread that's still warm, and a dessert that's so good she actually moans on the first bite. The delivery person refuses to take her tip. "Already taken care of, miss. Enjoy your meal." At 12:15, Sandra calls. Margot answers with shaking hands, ready for the termination she knows is coming. "Margot, where are you?" Sandra sounds strange, stressed. "I'm home. I thought your text said—" "Never mind that. Something's happened. Terry came in this morning, first thing, before the morning shift even started. He wanted to talk to me and the district manager together. He looked awful, Margot, like he hadn't slept at all." Margot's grip tightens on her phone. "What did he say?" "He withdrew his complaint. Said he'd been drinking last night. that he was completely out of line, that he's been inappropriate with you and he's deeply sorry. Then he said he wouldn't be coming back to the diner anymore. Just like that. Sandra's voice drops lower. Margot, what happened in that parking lot last night? Terry seemed scared. Really scared. Someone helped me, Margot says carefully. A friend made sure I got home safely. Some friend. Terry's withdrawal letter was notarized and everything. And the district manager seemed like he already knew about it, like someone had been in touch with corporate before any of us even got here this morning. Sandra's tone shifts, becoming almost warning. What kind of friends do you have, Margot? The kind who appear out of nowhere and make problems disappear, apparently. I'm not fired? No, you're not fired. Corporate actually wants to formally apologize to you. Something about workplace safety protocols and protecting our employees. They're sending someone down next week. Sandra sounds bewildered. I don't understand what's happening, but whatever it is, it's working in your favor. When the call ends, Margot immediately dials Theron. He answers on the first ring. What did you do? She asks. I had a conversation with Terry, and with the owner of your establishment, and with several other relevant parties. His tone is casual, but there's steel underneath. Terry's harassment won't be a problem anymore, for you or any other woman. How? How did you make all this happen in 3 hours? I told you. I'm very good at solving problems. There's a smile in his voice now. Are you still worried about your job? No, she admits. I'm worried about you. What you are. How you do the things you do. The line goes quiet for a long moment. When Theron speaks again, his voice is serious. I'd like to see you tonight. Not for coffee. Somewhere nicer. Let me take you to dinner, and I'll answer your questions. The ones you're asking, and the ones you're afraid to ask. Margot thinks about his strange eyes, his impossible timing, the way Terry looked at him with pure terror. She thinks about how Theron moves, how he speaks, how everything about him seems slightly other than human. She should say no. She should run from whatever this is. What time? She asks instead. 7. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. After they hang up, Margot realizes she has a problem. The nicest thing in her closet is a black dress she bought for a funeral 3 years ago. Everything else is work uniforms and casual clothes worn thin from too many washings. She's standing in front of her depressing closet, trying not to panic, when there's a knock at her door. Through the peephole, she sees a woman in a professional suit holding several garment bags. Margot Reeves, I'm from Castellane Personal Services. Mr. Castellane thought you might need some options for this evening. Margot opens the door in a daze. The woman, who introduces herself as Vivienne, sweeps in with the garment bags and a genuine smile. I know this seems unusual, Vivienne says, laying the bags carefully across Margot's worn couch. But Mr. Castellane is very particular about taking care of the people who matter to him. He described you in detail and selected these pieces himself. If none of them suit you, I have more options in the car. He can't just buy me clothes, Margot protests weakly. He can, and he has. Vivienne unzips the first bag, revealing a dress that makes Margot's breath catch. It's deep emerald green, elegant but not overly formal, with a neckline that's sophisticated rather than revealing. This one would be stunning with your coloring, but let's try them all, shall we? No pressure, no obligation. Think of it as playing dress-up. An hour later, Margot has chosen the green dress, because Vivienne was right. It does something magical to her skin and makes her eyes look brighter. And Vivienne has also somehow talked her into accepting shoes, a bag, and just a few pieces of jewelry, nothing ostentatious. Mr. Castellane will collect you at 7, Vivienne says as she packs up the unchosen items. He asked me to tell you that he's looking forward to tonight, more than he's looked forward to anything in a very long time. When 7 o'clock arrives, Margot is ready but terrified. The woman in her mirror looks like someone she barely recognizes, polished, elegant, almost beautiful. The dress fits perfectly, hugging curves she usually tries to hide under baggy uniforms. Theron knocks precisely at 7, and when Margot opens the door, the expression on his face makes every anxiety worth it. He stares. Actually stares. His silver eyes going wide, and his lips parting slightly in what might be shock. Margot, he says, and her name sounds like a prayer. You're absolutely breathtaking. He's devastating in a dark suit that probably costs more than her monthly rent, his hair styled back from his face, and Margot notices again how inhumanly perfect his features are. Sharp but not harsh, strong but not brutal, beautiful in a way that seems almost designed rather than naturally occurring. You clean up pretty well yourself, she manages, and his smile does dangerous things to her heart rate. The restaurant he takes her to is the kind of place Margot has only seen in movies. Soft lighting, quiet conversations, servers who move like dancers, and prices that aren't listed on the menu, because if you have to ask, you can't afford it. This is too much, Margot whispers as they're led to a private corner table. This is exactly enough, Theron counters. You deserve to be somewhere that treats you with respect, where the staff exists to serve you rather than where you serve others. Something about the way he says it makes her eyes prick with unexpected tears. When was the last time someone cared about what she deserved? Once they've ordered, Theron somehow knowing exactly what to suggest, guiding her through the menu with patience and no condescension, Margot folds her hands on the table and meets his eyes directly. Tell me the truth. What are you? Theron doesn't pretend to misunderstand. He looks at her for a long moment, something like pain crossing his features. If I tell you, everything changes. You can't unknow it. I already know something's not normal. You appear out of nowhere. You make impossible things happen. And Terry looked at you like you were his worst nightmare made flesh. Margot keeps her voice steady. So either tell me or take me home right now, because I can't do this if you're going to lie to me. I would never lie to you. He reaches across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand, asking permission with his eyes. When she nods, his fingers brush across her knuckles, and his skin is cool. Not cold, but several degrees below normal human temperature. I'm a vampire, Margot, not the kind from your movies. I don't sleep in coffins or fear crosses. But I'm not human. I haven't been human for a very, very long time. She should laugh. She should call him crazy and leave. But his cool fingers on hers feel absolutely right. And everything about the past 24 hours suddenly makes a terrible kind of sense. How long? She asks. I was born in 1847, turned in 1872 when I was 25 years old. Margot does the math. You're over 150 years old. Yes. And you're telling me vampires are real? Yes. Can you read minds? No, but I can sense emotions, particularly strong ones. Fear, desire, pain. Last night in that parking lot, your fear called to me before your text even arrived. I was 3 blocks away, and I felt your terror like a beacon. His thumb strokes across her knuckles. I've never moved faster in my life than I did to reach you. Margot's mind spins. Terry, what did you do to him? I paid him a visit early this morning. I showed him what I am, just enough to ensure he understood the consequences if he ever bothered you again. Then I had a conversation with the owner of your diner's parent company, who happens to owe me several significant favors. Terry's behavior toward you was unacceptable, and I made certain everyone involved understood that. The owner of the company owes you favors. Theron's expression becomes carefully neutral. I own several businesses in this city. Property, corporations, investments spanning multiple industries. When you live as long as I have, you accumulate resources and influence. You're rich. It's not a question. Yes. How rich? Rich enough that you'll never have to worry about money again if you choose to accept my help. The words hang between them, heavy with implication. Margot slowly withdraws her hand from his, even though it feels like pulling away from a heat source on a cold night. I'm not a charity case, she says quietly. I know you're not. You're proud, strong and resilient beyond measure. You've survived things that would have broken someone weaker. Theron leans forward, his silver eyes intense. But surviving and living are different things, Margot. You've been in survival mode for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to actually live, to have choices, to be cared for. And you want to care for me? Why? You don't even know me. I know you texted a wrong number when you were terrified, And even in your panic, you said please. I know you work doubles to pay debts that aren't yours. I know you stand on your feet for 16 hours serving people who don't see you as human, and you still smile because you understand that kindness costs nothing. His voice drops lower. I know that when I look at you, I feel something I haven't felt in decades. Want, need, the desire to protect and possess in equal measure. Margot's breath catches. That's intense for someone you met 12 hours ago. I've lived 152 years, Margot. I've met thousands of people. Most of them blur together into an indistinguishable mass of humanity. But then there are the rare few who shine so brightly that they cut through centuries of numbness and make you remember what it felt like to be alive. He pauses. You're one of them. I knew it the moment I saw you. Their food arrives, giving Margot time to process. She should be terrified. He's a vampire, an actual vampire, but instead she's fascinated and, underneath the shock, thrilled in a way that makes her feel guilty. What kind of person gets excited about being pursued by a supernatural creature? Tell me more, she says after the server leaves. About what you are. I want to understand. So he does. Over dinner, Theron tells her about the vampire world she never knew existed, how they live in secret among humans, bound by ancient laws that prevent discovery, how he's not just any vampire, but something more, a king of sorts, though he calls it a different name. The sovereign of the Western Dominion, responsible for maintaining order among vampires in half the country. That's why Terry ran, Margot says slowly. He's a vampire too? No, but he has enough supernatural sensitivity to recognize what I am, to feel the predator in me. Theron's expression hardens. Humans like him, who toe the line of the supernatural world without being part of it, are particularly dangerous. They have no accountability to our laws, but just enough knowledge to be threats. And now he knows to stay away from me because you're... what, exactly? Protecting me? Yes. Why? She asks again, because she still doesn't fully understand. Why does a vampire king care about a random waitress? Theron sets down his fork and looks at her with such intensity that she feels it like a physical touch. Because you're not random. Because in 152 years, I've never felt compelled to answer a wrong number text. I've never appeared out of nowhere to rescue someone. I've never spent hours arranging solutions to a stranger's problems, or selecting dresses I hoped would make her feel as beautiful as she is. He pauses. I've been alone for so long, Margot. Going through the motions of existence without really living. And then your fear cut through everything, and suddenly I was awake again. Alive again. You did that. Margot's hands are shaking. She presses them flat against the table. This is crazy. This whole thing is completely insane. Yes. I should run away from you as fast as possible. Probably. You're a vampire, a supernatural creature who could probably kill me without breaking a sweat. I would never hurt you, Theron says, and the conviction in his voice is absolute. I would burn this city to the ground before I let anyone, including myself, cause you harm. And somehow, incredibly, she believes him. They talk for hours. Margot tells him about her marriage, how her ex-husband was charming at first but became controlling and cruel, how he left her with mountains of debt and so little self-worth that she stayed at a terrible job because she didn't think she deserved better. Theron listens with complete attention, his jaw tightening when she describes the worst moments, but never interrupting, never minimizing her experience. In turn, he tells her about his life, the broad strokes at least. How he was turned against his will by a vampire he later destroyed. How he built power and influence over decades. How being sovereign means constant politics, negotiations, and the weight of thousands of lives depending on his decisions. It's lonely, he admits. Power isolates you. Everyone wants something, and you can never be certain if they value you or just what you can do for them. Is that what I am? Margot asks quietly. Someone who wants what you can do for me? Theron's hand moves across the table again, this time covering hers completely. His cool skin against her warmth feels right in a way that defies explanation. You didn't know what I was when you agreed to coffee. You said yes to a man who appeared in a parking lot, not to a sovereign who could solve your problems. That's the difference. His thumb traces circles on the back of her hand. And it's why I can't let you go. By the time they leave the restaurant, it's after midnight. Theron drives her home through empty streets, and Margot's mind is spinning with everything she's learned. When they pull up in front of her building, she doesn't want the night to end. Tomorrow's my day off, she says before she can talk herself out of it. If you're not busy with Vampire King business, maybe we could, I don't know, something normal. Coffee, like you originally suggested. Theron's smile is radiant. I would love nothing more. Though I should warn you, I'll have to solve one problem first. What problem? Your car. It's already at the mechanics, but the transmission needs to be fully replaced, not just repaired. It'll take a few days. Margot feels heat rise to her cheeks. Theron, I can't afford a new transmission. I know, that's why I'm taking care of it. You can't just... I can, and I will. Margot, please. He turns in his seat to face her fully. Let me do this. Not because you need saving, but because I want to. Because making your life easier brings me joy. Is that so terrible? When he puts it like that, with those silver eyes looking at her so earnestly, she can't find it in herself to argue. Thank you, she whispers. You're welcome. He gets out of the car and comes around to open her door, offering his hand to help her out. The gesture is old-fashioned and courtly, and Margot loves it. I'll pick you up at 10 tomorrow. Wear something comfortable. He walks her to her building's entrance, and for a moment they stand in the weak glow of the security light. Theron reaches up, gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. You have no idea how extraordinary you are, he says softly. Then he leans down, giving her plenty of time to pull away, and brushes the softest kiss against her forehead. His lips are cool, gentle, and the gesture is somehow more intimate than any passionate kiss she's ever experienced. Good night, Margot. She floats up to her apartment, touches her forehead where he kissed her, and falls asleep with a smile on her face. The next morning, Margot spends an embarrassing amount of time choosing comfortable clothes that still look nice. She settles on jeans and a soft blue sweater, hoping it strikes the right balance between casual and trying too hard. Theron arrives exactly at 10, looking unfairly gorgeous in dark jeans and a gray Henley that somehow makes his silver eyes even more striking. He's driving a different car today, still expensive, but less intimidating than the black vehicle from last night. I thought we'd go somewhere you could see what my world is really like, he says as she buckles her seatbelt. If that's all right with you. Your world, meaning the vampire world? Yes. There's someone I'd like you to meet. Someone who's been asking about you. Margot's stomach flips. Asking about me? Vivian. She handles many of my personal affairs, and she's been curious about the woman who chose the green dress. Theron glances at her with a smile. She says anyone with taste that good deserves further acquaintance. They drive to a part of the city Margot rarely sees, the historic district with its preserved buildings and tree-lined streets. Theron pulls up in front of an elegant townhouse that looks like something from a magazine spread. You live here? Margot asks. This is one of my residences. My main estate is outside the city, but I keep this place for when I need to be in town for extended periods. Inside, the townhouse is breathtaking. High ceilings, original architectural details, furniture that manages to be both antique and comfortable. But what strikes Margot most is how lived in it feels. There are books everywhere, some open as if Theron was reading them and simply set them down. Modern technology sits comfortably alongside historical pieces. It's the home of someone who's lived many lifetimes and brought pieces of each into the present. Vivian appears from a back room, smiling warmly. In daylight, Margot can see that she's also inhumanly beautiful, with the same subtle otherworldliness that marks Theron. You're a vampire too, Margot says. Guilty, Vivian confirms cheerfully, though nowhere near as old or important as our dear sovereign. I'm a mere 93 years young. She clasps Margot's hand between both of hers. It's wonderful to meet you properly. Theron hasn't stopped talking about you since yesterday. Theron gives her a look. You're exaggerating. I'm really not. He called me at dawn, Margot, when he should have been resting, to make certain I'd found the perfect dress. He described you for 20 minutes. I know about the gold flecks in your eyes, and the way you bite your lower lip when you're nervous. Margot does, in fact, bite her lower lip, and both vampires smile. I wanted to meet you, Vivian continues, because it's been a very long time since Theron cared about anything beyond his responsibilities. You're good for him. I think it's too early to know that, Margot says. We barely know each other. Time works differently for us, Theron says quietly. When you've lived as long as I have, you learn to recognize significant people quickly. You're significant, Margot. They spend the morning in the townhouse. Vivienne makes coffee. Apparently, vampires can consume some human food and drink, though they don't need to. And they talk. Margot learns more about vampire society, the complex politics Theron navigates, and the delicate balance of power that keeps the supernatural world hidden from humanity. It's not as exciting as movies make it seem, Vivian says. Mostly it's paperwork, negotiations, and managing territorial disputes between groups who've hated each other for centuries. Theron's actually remarkably good at it, which is why he's been sovereign for 40 years. Is that a long time? Margot asks. In vampire politics, it's an eternity. Most sovereigns burn out or get challenged within a decade. Vivian looks at Theron with obvious affection. This one endures because he's both ruthless enough to maintain order and fair enough that people trust his judgments. It's a rare combination. Margot studies Theron, seeing him differently now. Not just the man who rescued her, but a leader who's been carrying massive responsibilities for decades. Do you ever get tired of it? Constantly, he admits, but someone needs to do it, and I'm better suited than most. He meets her eyes. Although recently I've been thinking about delegation, about making time for things that matter beyond duty. The implication hangs in the air between them. Vivian, reading the room with supernatural perception, stands gracefully. I have errands to run. You two enjoy the rest of your day. She squeezes Margot's shoulder as she passes. He's one of the good ones. Don't let the vampire thing scare you off. After Vivian leaves, Theron offers to show Margot the rest of the townhouse. They wander through rooms filled with pieces of history, art from different periods, books in languages Margot doesn't recognize, objects that probably belong in museums. This must have been in your family for generations, Margot says, touching a beautiful music box. I bought it in Vienna in 1889, Theron says. I was there during the World's Fair. The craftsmanship reminded me of my human sister. She loved delicate mechanical things. Margot turns to him. Your sister, is she gone? She lived a full human life and died surrounded by grandchildren who thought I was just a wealthy cousin from abroad. His expression is distant with memory. I watched her grow old while I stayed frozen at 25. It was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Without thinking, Margot steps closer and takes his hand. I'm sorry. Don't be. I had the privilege of knowing her for her entire life, of watching her children and grandchildren grow. Many vampires lose their human connections immediately. I was fortunate. They end up in Theron's library, a room lined floor to ceiling with books. There's a fireplace, comfortable leather chairs, and windows that overlook a small private garden. It's the kind of room Margot could happily spend forever in. Do you actually read all these? She asks. Most of them. Reading is one of the few hobbies that never gets old, because there are always new books, new perspectives, new worlds to discover. Theron pulls a worn volume from a shelf. This was one of my favorites as a human. I've replaced it 3 times because I kept wearing out the copies. He hands it to her, and Margot opens it carefully. The pages are in French, which she doesn't read, but she can see the care with which the book has been handled. The spine is cracked from repeated readings, and there are notes in the margins in handwriting she assumes is Theron's. What's it about? She asks. A man who loves deeply, but loses everything due to circumstances beyond his control. He spends years becoming powerful enough to reclaim what was taken from him. Theron's voice is soft. I used to think it was about revenge. Now I think it's about the lengths we go to for the people who matter. Margot sets the book down gently. And I matter? Really? We met yesterday. You matter. Theron moves closer. not quite touching her, but near enough that she can feel the coolness radiating from his skin. I've spent 40 years as sovereign dealing with problems, putting out fires, maintaining order. I'm good at it, but it's consumed everything. I forgot that there could be more than duty. He reaches up, cupping her face with one hand. And then you sent that text, and everything shifted. Suddenly I remembered what it felt like to want something for myself, to put someone else's well-being above politics and power. Theron, Margot's voice catches, you don't have to say anything. I know this is fast, probably too fast, but I'm not a man anymore, Margot. I'm a vampire, and we don't love the way humans do. When we find someone who matters, we claim them. We protect them. We would tear apart the world to keep them safe. His silver eyes are intense, and Margot should be frightened by the possessiveness in his words. Instead, she's thrilled. After years of being ignored, undervalued, and discarded by her ex-husband, here's this incredible being who looks at her like she's the most precious thing in existence. I don't understand why me, she whispers. Neither do I, entirely. But I stopped questioning it the moment I saw you in that parking lot, terrified, but still fighting. Still trying to protect yourself. You're a survivor, Margot. Strong and resilient in ways you don't even recognize. That strength called to me. His thumb brushes across her cheekbone. And your kindness. Even now, after everything you've been through, you're kind. Gentle. You see people. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Margot leans into his touch, his cool skin soothing against her face. What happens now? Where does this go? Anywhere you want, as fast or slow as you need. I'm not going anywhere, Margot. I'll wait as long as it takes for you to trust this. Trust me. She thinks about her small apartment, her difficult job, the life she's been barely surviving. Then she thinks about this man, this vampire, who appeared exactly when she needed him and hasn't stopped trying to make her life better since. I'm scared, she admits. I know, that's wise. I'm a vampire king with power you can't comprehend. Being involved with me comes with dangers. That's not what scares me. Margot looks up at him. I'm scared of how much I already feel for you, how much I want this to be real. I'm scared that I'll wake up and realize it's too good to be true, because things like this don't happen to people like me. Theron's expression softens. They do now. He leans down slowly, giving her every opportunity to pull away, and kisses her. Not on the forehead this time, but properly. His lips are cool and gentle, and the kiss is sweet rather than demanding. It's perfect, and when he pulls back, Margot is breathless. Oh, she manages. His smile is devastating. Oh? I'm in so much trouble with you. Good, he says, because I'm completely undone by you. They spend the rest of the day together. Theron orders lunch from somewhere that delivers food too good to be takeout, and they eat in the garden while he tells her stories from his long life. Margot could listen to him forever. His voice, his experiences, the way he makes history come alive because he lived it. Tell me something you've never told anyone, she says as afternoon stretches toward evening. Theron considers. I hate being sovereign sometimes. Not the responsibility itself, but the isolation. Everyone defers to me, fears me, or wants something from me. No one just talks to me, sees me as Theron rather than the sovereign. He looks at her. Except you. You argued with me about fixing your car. You told me I couldn't buy you clothes. You treat me like a person, not a title. Because you are a person, Margot says. An old, powerful, supernatural person, but still a person. See? That's what I mean. You keep me grounded. He reaches across the space between their chairs and takes her hand. Your turn. Tell me something you've never told anyone. Margot thinks. I'm terrified I'm not strong enough for whatever this is. You're this incredible being who's lived through centuries. And I'm just, she waves her free hand. Me, a waitress with debt and a broken car and nothing special to offer. You're everything special, Theron says firmly. And you're stronger than you know. Survivors always are. As the sun begins to set, and Margot notices Theron doesn't burst into flames or even seem uncomfortable, which answers one vampire myth, he drives her home. But when they pull up in front of her building, Margot doesn't want to go inside, doesn't want this perfect day to end. "Come to dinner tomorrow," Theron says. "My main estate. I want to show you where I really live." "Will there be other vampires there?" "Only if you want there to be. This is me inviting you into my private space, not into vampire politics." He brushes a strand of hair from her face. "Just say yes, Margot." "You keep asking me that." "Because I keep wanting things where you're concerned, and I need you to want them too." She does. God help her, she does. "Yes." His smile could light up the world. That night, lying in bed, Margot gets a text from an unknown number. "Hi, this is Claire, your sister. You know the person you meant to text when you sent that 'Help, I'm being followed' message? Call me immediately. Sandra from your work told Mom you're dating some rich guy and I need details." Margot laughs and calls her sister. The conversation lasts 2 hours, with Claire being alternately excited and concerned about Theron. "Just be careful," Claire says finally. "Rich guys can be controlling, and you just got out of that situation with Marcus." "He's not like Marcus," Margot says. "He's different." If Claire only knew how different. The next evening, Theron picks her up in yet another car, and they drive out of the city into the countryside. The estate, when they arrive, takes Margot's breath away. It's not a mansion. It's an actual small castle, stone and elegant, surrounded by acres of pristine land. "This is where you live?" Margot breathes. "For the past 60 years, yes. I bought it from a family who couldn't afford to maintain it anymore, and restored it over several decades." Theron helps her out of the car. "Welcome to Castellane House." Inside is even more impressive than the townhouse. Grand but comfortable, filled with that same sense of accumulated history. Theron gives her a tour, pointing out favorite rooms and pieces with obvious affection. "This must get lonely," Margot says as they stand in a ballroom that probably hasn't hosted a party in decades. "All this space for one person." "It does," he admits. "I've thought about taking a companion, but it never felt right. Sharing this space with someone means sharing myself, and I haven't found anyone worth that vulnerability." He turns to her. "Until now." Margot's heart races. "Theron, I'm not asking you to move in tomorrow," he says quickly. "I know this is fast, but I want you to know my intentions. I want you in my life, Margot. In my home. I want to wake up and find you here, safe and cared for. I want to give you everything you've been denied. Security, comfort, the freedom to pursue dreams rather than just survival." "That's a lot," Margot says faintly. "It is. And if it's too much, tell me. I'll slow down, but I won't lie about what I want." Dinner is served in an intimate dining room by staff who are clearly human, but just as clearly know what Theron is. They treat Margot with warm respect, and she realizes they're genuinely happy to see their employer with someone. "Do they live here?" Margot asks when they're alone. "Some of them. Others come during the day. All of them are paid extremely well and know exactly what I am. I don't keep humans in my home without full disclosure." Theron sips wine. Apparently vampires can drink alcohol. They're free to leave whenever they wish, with excellent references and severance. Most have been with me for years by choice. After dinner, Theron shows her his favorite spot, a library even more impressive than the one in the townhouse, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the grounds. "I could die happy in this room," Margot says reverently. "You could live happy in this room," Theron counters. "Read whatever you want, whenever you want. No double shifts, no terrible managers, no fighting just to survive." He moves behind her, not quite touching. "Let me give you this life, Margot." She turns to face him. "Why? What do you get out of it?" "You. Your presence. Your smile. The way you look at me like I'm just a man rather than a monster. The way you argue with me and challenge me and make me laugh." His hands come up to frame her face. "I've been alone for so long. Let me share this with you. Please." There's that word again. Please. This powerful vampire king asking her permission, respecting her choice, never demanding what he could easily take. "What about my job?" she asks. My apartment? Keep them if you want them. I'm not asking you to give up your independence. I'm offering you options. Work because you want to, not because you have to. Live here, or keep your apartment, or both. Whatever makes you feel safe and happy. Margot thinks about the diner, the exhausting shifts, the constant stress of not having enough money. Then she thinks about this beautiful space, this incredible man, and the life he's offering. I need time, she says, to process all this. It's only been 3 days, Theron. Take all the time you need. I've waited over a century. I can wait longer. But his eyes are intense, hopeful. Just don't disappear on me. I won't. He kisses her again, and this time it's deeper, more urgent. His cool lips move against hers with practiced skill, and Margot melts into him. His hands slide into her hair, cradling her head as he kisses her thoroughly, and she feels cherished in a way she never has before. When they break apart, both breathing hard, Theron rests his forehead against hers. You're undoing me, he whispers. Completely. Good, she manages, because you've already undone me. He drives her home late that night, and Margot floats up to her apartment in a daze. 3 days ago, she was terrified in a parking lot. Now she's being courted by a vampire king who looks at her like she hung the stars. The next week passes in a blur of magical normalcy. Theron visits her every day, fitting into her life with surprising ease. He brings her coffee in the morning, takes her to dinner at night, and texts her throughout the day with random thoughts and questions that make her smile. Her car gets fixed, fully fixed, with a new transmission and several other repairs she didn't even know it needed. When Margot tries to pay, the mechanic just laughs. Mr. Castellane took care of everything. Said this car better run perfectly, or he'd be very disappointed. The mechanic lowers his voice. Between you and me, miss, I don't want to disappoint that man. He's intense. Margot returns to work at the diner, but it's different now. Sandra's attitude has completely changed. She's respectful, almost deferential. The other servers treat Margot with new interest. Even the cook asks how she's doing. Corporate came by yesterday, Sandra says during Margot's break. They're implementing new safety protocols and harassment training, all because of what happened with Terry. She gives Margot a curious look. Your boyfriend must really care about you to make all that happen. He does, Margot says simply, but working at the diner feels different now that she knows she doesn't have to. Theron's words echo in her mind. Work because you want to, not because you have to. And the truth is, she doesn't want to. Not anymore. The diner was the survival, not passion. After her shift, she calls Theron. I need to talk to you, she says. He arrives at her apartment within 20 minutes, concern clear on his face. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I've been thinking about what you said, about options. Margot takes a breath. I want to quit the diner. Theron's expression shifts to something like relief. All right, just like that? No, are you sure, or think about it carefully? Margot, I've been hoping you'd quit since the moment you told me about that place. You hate it there, and you're exhausted all the time. He takes her hands. What do you want to do instead? I don't know. I never had the luxury of figuring that out. I went straight from high school to marriage, to the diner. She looks up at him. Maybe I could use some time to figure out who I am, when I'm not just surviving. I think that's an excellent idea. Theron pulls her closer, and I think you should do that figuring out at Castellane House, if you're ready. You want me to move in with you? I want you wherever you're happiest. But yes, I want you in my home, in my life, completely and without reservation. His silver eyes are steady on hers. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other 10 days, but I've lived long enough to know what I want when I find it. And I want you, Margot, every day, every moment. I want to wake up to you and fall asleep knowing you're safe under my roof. I want to show you what your life could be when you're not weighed down by fear and exhaustion. Margot's heart pounds. This is crazy. Moving in with a man, a vampire, after 10 days is the kind of impulsive decision her mother would have a heart attack over. But when has playing it safe ever gotten her anything but misery? Okay, she says. Theron goes very still. Okay? I'll move in with you. Not forever. Not yet. I need to know I can leave if this doesn't work. But yes, I want to try. His smile is radiant. You can leave whenever you want. I'll even help you pack. But Margot? He cups her face in both hands. I'm going to do everything in my power to make you want to stay. Moving happens faster than Margot expected, mostly because she doesn't own much worth keeping. Theron arranges everything with typical efficiency, and within 3 days, her few belongings are installed in a beautiful suite at Castellane House. This is bigger than my entire apartment, Margot says, standing in the bedroom that's apparently hers. You can redecorate however you'd like, change anything. I want you to be comfortable. Theron stands in the doorway, giving her space. Your suite connects to mine, but the connecting door locks from your side. You control access, always. That night, after unpacking, Margot finds Theron in his library. He's reading by firelight, looking unfairly gorgeous in casual clothes, and when he sees her, his face lights up. How are you settling in? He asks. Good. Overwhelmed. This place is incredible. She settles into the chair next to his. Thank you for this, for everything. You don't need to thank me for taking care of you. It's my privilege. He sets his book aside. What are you thinking? I can feel your emotions, remember? You're anxious. Margot fidgets with the sleeve of her sweater. I gave notice at the diner today. Sandra was shocked. I think she thought I'd work there forever. How do you feel about it? Terrified? Relieved? Free? She laughs shakily. I've never not had a job. Never not been hustling just to keep my head above water. Now I'm here, in this castle with a vampire king, and I don't have to worry about money or bills or whether I can afford food. It feels like a dream, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Theron leaves his chair and kneels in front of hers, taking her hands. The only shoe dropping will be me spoiling you relentlessly until you accept that you deserve this. You deserve rest, comfort, and someone who puts your well-being above everything else. People are going to talk, Margot says. They're going to say I'm a gold digger, that I'm using you. Let them talk. I know the truth, and so do you. His thumbs stroke across her knuckles. Besides, in vampire society, claiming a companion is a statement of power. It says I'm strong enough to protect what's mine. Anyone who questions you questions me. Claiming, Margot repeats. That sounds possessive. It is. Vampires are possessive by nature, especially about people we care for. His eyes meet hers. Does that bother you? She should say yes, should be bothered by the possessive gleam in his silver eyes, the way he says mine, like it's a vow. But after years of being undervalued and discarded, being claimed by someone as powerful as Theron feels intoxicating. No, she admits. It doesn't bother me. His smile is predatory and pleased. Good. The weeks that follow are the happiest of Margot's life. She explores Castellane House, discovers Theron's massive library, meets more of the vampire community, who all treat her with respect, once they understand she's under the Sovereign's protection. Vivian becomes a genuine friend, teaching Margot about vampire society and politics. You've made quite an impression, Vivian says over coffee one afternoon. Theron's different with you. Lighter. Happier. The vampire community has noticed. Is that good or bad? Margot asks. Mostly good. A happy sovereign makes better decisions, though there are always those who resent change or see your influence as a weakness they can exploit. Vivian's expression becomes serious. You need to be careful, Margot. Not everyone is pleased that a human has Theron's attention. Should I be worried? Not with Theron protecting you. But stay alert. Vampire politics are complicated. Margot thinks about this conversation later, as she's getting ready for an event Theron has asked her to attend. It's some kind of vampire gathering, important enough that he's been tense about it all week. You don't have to come, he says, watching her from the doorway of her suite. If you're not ready to be publicly known as mine, I understand. Margot turns from her mirror. She's wearing another dress Theron selected, deep red this time, elegant and sophisticated. I want to come. I want to support you. It won't be comfortable. There will be vampires there who don't approve of my attachment to a human. Some who might say things designed to hurt you or drive a wedge between us. His jaw tightens. I'll protect you, but I can't shield you from everything without appearing weak. So I'll need to handle myself. Yes, can you do that? Margot thinks about all the years at the diner, dealing with rude customers and worse. I've handled worse than vampire snobs. His laugh is surprised and delighted. Have I mentioned you're remarkable? Not in the last hour. The gathering is held at an estate even more impressive than Castellane House, belonging to someone Theron introduces as Lady Seraphine, a vampire older and more powerful than most. Theron, darling, Seraphine says, kissing both his cheeks. She's stunning, with dark hair and eyes that have seen centuries. How lovely to see you. And this must be the human everyone's talking about. There's no hostility in her voice, but no particular warmth either. Margot feels assessed and judged in a single glance. This is Margot Reeves, Theron says, his hand warm on the small of Margot's back. My companion. The word sends a ripple through the vampires within hearing distance. Companion. Margot doesn't know all the implications, but she knows it's significant. Charming, Seraphine says. Welcome, Miss Reeves. Do enjoy the evening. As they move through the gathering, Margot becomes acutely aware of the attention focused on them. Every vampire in the room seems to be watching, assessing, judging. Some approach to greet Theron and are polite to her. Others keep their distance, whispering behind hands. You're doing beautifully, Theron murmurs at one point. I'm proud of you. Then she meets Victor. He's tall, cold-eyed, and radiates barely contained hostility. Sovereign Castellane, he says with a bow that's just on the edge of mocking. How unexpected to see you here with your pet. Margot feels Theron go rigid beside her. Victor, I'm surprised Seraphine invited you, given your last offense against her territory. Ancient history. All is forgiven. Victor's gaze slides to Margot. Tell me, Miss Reeves, Margot says, keeping her voice steady. Miss Reeves, what's it like being a vampire king's passing fancy? Does he keep you in luxury while he can still stand your mortality? Or have you already started begging for the bite? The insult is clear, designed to make her feel small and temporary. Margot sees several vampires watching, waiting to see how she'll respond. I wouldn't know, she says calmly. I'm not a passing fancy, and I don't beg for anything. Theron chose me, and I chose him. That's all that matters. Victor's smile sharpens. For now. Until he grows bored of playing house with a human who'll be old and dying while he stays forever young. How long do you think this lasts, little human? A year? 5? He's 152 years old. You're what, 30? 40? A blink in his existence. The words hurt because there's truth in them. Margot has thought about this, about the fact that she'll age while Theron won't. But before she can respond, Theron steps forward, and the temperature in the room seems to drop. Victor. Theron's voice is soft, deadly. You will apologize to my companion immediately, or I will take your disrespect as a challenge to my authority. The entire room goes silent. Margot feels the weight of power rolling off Theron like waves. This is the Sovereign, the Vampire King, and he's not asking politely. Victor pales. I meant no offense, Sovereign. You meant every offense. Apologize. Now. I apologize, Miss Reeves, Victor forces out. My words were inappropriate. Yes, they were, Margot says, finding her courage. And for the record, I don't care that Theron's lived over a century. I don't care that I'm human and mortal. What we have is real, and it's worth more than your cynicism could ever understand. Theron's hand finds hers, squeezing gently. The pride in his eyes is unmistakable. Victor slinks away, and slowly, the gathering returns to normal conversation. But everything has changed. Margot has been publicly claimed by the Sovereign, publicly defended, and she defended herself in return. The vampires who witness it look at her differently now, with respect, curiosity, and in some cases genuine warmth. "That was magnificent," Theron murmurs as they move to a quieter corner. "The way you stood your ground. Margot, you were perfect." "I was terrified," she admits. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's proceeding despite it." He turns her to face him fully. "Thank you for defending what we have, for believing in it enough to fight for it." "Always," she says. The rest of the evening passes more smoothly. Vampires approach to properly introduce themselves to Margot, and she realizes she's been accepted, at least by most. Seraphine herself stops by as they're leaving. "You handled Victor well," the ancient vampire says. "He's been testing Theron's authority for years, waiting for a weakness to exploit. Instead, he found you." She smiles, and it's genuine. A human who doesn't cower or fawn, who stands beside a sovereign as an equal rather than a subordinate. "You're good for him, Miss Reeves, and for our community." In the car on the way home, Margot lets herself process the evening. "That was intense." "Yes, but you were incredible." Theron brings her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles. "Did you mean what you said? About our relationship being real and worth fighting for?" "Of course I meant it. Did you think I was just acting?" "No, but hearing you defend us, defend me." His voice goes rough with emotion. "I've been alone for so long, Margot. Powerful, respected, but alone. And then you stumbled into my life with a wrong number text, and suddenly I'm not alone anymore. You're here, beside me, fighting for us. Do you have any idea what that means to me?" Margot sees the vulnerability in his face, the centuries of loneliness he normally hides behind power and authority. "I think I'm starting to." When they arrive home, Theron walks her to her suite but doesn't assume entry. He never does, always respecting her boundaries. But tonight, Margot doesn't want boundaries. "Stay with me," she says. "Please." His eyes flare with silver light. "Margot? I'm sure. I want you with me. I want to fall asleep knowing you're here and wake up with you beside me." She takes his hand, pulling him into her room. "Stay." What follows is tender and passionate, Theron treating her like something precious while showing her exactly how deep his feelings run. His cool skin against her warmth, his strength tempered with gentleness, the way he whispers her name like a prayer. It's perfect. Afterward, lying in his arms, Margot feels completely safe for the first time in her adult life. "I love you," Theron says into the darkness. "I know it's fast. I know I should wait, but I've waited over a century, and I can't pretend anymore. I love you, Margot Reeves. Your strength, your kindness, your courage. All of you." Margot's heart swells. "I love you too, my vampire king." His arms tighten around her. "I'm yours, completely." They fall asleep tangled together, and when morning comes, Margot wakes to find Theron watching her with silver eyes full of devotion. "Good morning," he says softly. "Good morning." She stretches, feeling content in a way she never has before. "What time is it?" "Nearly noon. I let you sleep. You were exhausted from last night." His fingers trace lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. "I have something for you." He retrieves a small box from the pocket of his discarded jacket. Inside is a ring. Not an engagement ring, but something more subtle. A silver band with small diamonds, elegant and understated. "It's a protection ring," Theron explains. "Spelled by a witch I trust. It won't make you immortal or invincible, but it will make it much harder for anyone supernatural to harm you. And it tells the vampire world that you're under my protection. That you're mine." Margot holds out her hand, and he slides the ring onto her right ring finger. It fits perfectly, of course. "Thank you," she whispers. "Thank you for trusting me with your safety, with your heart." He kisses her softly. "I won't take that trust lightly." The months that follow are blissful. Margot settles fully into life at Castellane House. exploring hobbies she never had time for before. She discovers she loves painting and filling rooms with art. She reads voraciously from Theron's library. She takes cooking classes just for fun and experiments with recipes in the massive kitchen. Theron encourages everything, providing whatever she needs without question. But more than the material support, he gives her his time and attention. Despite his responsibilities as sovereign, he makes her a priority. They have breakfast together every morning, dinner every evening, and he asks about her day like her small activities matter as much as vampire politics. "I painted 3 canvases today," Margot tells him one evening over dinner. "Can I see them?" Theron asks immediately. She leads him to the room she's claimed as a studio, nervous about showing him her work. But Theron studies each painting with genuine interest, asking questions about her choices and techniques. "These are remarkable," he says finally. "You have real talent, Margot." "They're just hobbies." "Art is never just a hobby. It's expression, emotion, pieces of your soul captured on canvas." He turns to her. "I'm proud of you for discovering this part of yourself." That night, Margot falls asleep thinking about how far she's come. 6 months ago, she was terrified in a parking lot, barely surviving, seeing no way out of the hole life had dug for her. Now she's loved by a vampire king, living in a castle, pursuing passions instead of just surviving. The next morning, Theron wakes her with unusual urgency. "Get dressed. Something's happened." Margot's blood runs cold. "What? What's wrong?" "Your ex-husband showed up at the estate's gates an hour ago. He's demanding to see you." Marcus. Margot hasn't thought about him in months, hasn't missed him for a second. What does he want? I don't know, but he's made quite a scene, shouting about his rights and how I've stolen you away. Theron's expression is hard. "I can send him away. You never have to see him again. But I wanted to give you the choice." Margot thinks about Marcus, their terrible marriage, the way he controlled and diminished her, how he left her with nothing. Part of her wants to hide, to let Theron handle it. But a bigger part wants to face Marcus from her new position of strength. "I'll see him," she says. "But you're coming with me." "Absolutely." They meet Marcus in a formal receiving room. He looks terrible, older than his years, disheveled, desperate. When he sees Margot, his eyes widen. She's changed. 6 months of good food, rest, and happiness have transformed her. She's gained healthy weight, her skin glows, and she carries herself with confidence she never had during their marriage. She's wearing clothes that actually fit properly, her hair is professionally styled, and she radiates contentment. "Margot?" Marcus stares. "You look different." "I'm happy," she says simply. "What do you want, Marcus?" "I want to talk, privately." He glances at Theron with obvious hostility. "Without your sugar daddy listening in." Theron's expression goes cold, but Margot touches his arm gently. "It's okay. I've got this." "I'll be right outside," Theron says, loud enough for Marcus to hear. "If you need anything, just call." Once they're alone, Marcus's demeanor shifts. "You can't be serious about this guy. He's got to be twice your age, and you've known him, 6 months? You really rebounded fast, Margot." "Theron and I are very serious, and what I do with my life is no longer your concern. You made that clear when you left me with your debts and disappeared. I made mistakes. I know that now." Marcus steps closer, and Margot forces herself not to retreat. "But we were married for 8 years. That has to count for something. Come home, Margot. We can fix this." "Home?" Margot laughs, the sound without humor. "You mean back to our apartment where you criticized everything I did? Where I worked myself to exhaustion while you gambled away our money? That home? It wasn't that bad." "It was worse, and I'm not going back. Ever." Margot lifts her chin. "I've built a new life, Marcus. One where I'm valued and respected and loved. One where I'm not just surviving, but actually living." "With him? That rich prick who's probably just using you for entertainment until he gets bored?" Marcus's voice rises. "You think this is real? He'll dump you as soon as the novelty wears off. No, he won't, because Theron actually loves me, which is something you never did. I loved you. You loved controlling me. You loved having someone to belittle to make yourself feel bigger. That's not love, Marcus. That's abuse. The word hangs between them. Marcus's face flushes with anger. I never hit you. There are other ways to hurt someone. You know that. Margot moves toward the door. This conversation is over. Don't come back, Marcus. You're not welcome here. You're really choosing him over me? Over our history? Every single time. Margot opens the door to find Theron waiting exactly where he said he'd be. We're done here. Theron's eyes scan her face, checking for distress. When he seems satisfied she's okay, he turns to Marcus with an expression that makes the other man step back. You heard her. Leave. And Marcus? Theron's voice drops into that deadly soft tone. If you contact Margot again, if you come within a mile of her or this estate, you will regret it. Do you understand me? Marcus must see something in Theron's eyes, that predator, that vampire, because he goes pale. Who the hell are you? I'm the man who loves her, the man who will protect her from any threat, including you. Theron steps closer to Marcus, and Margot sees her ex-husband actually tremble. Now get out. Marcus practically runs. When he's gone, Theron turns to Margot with concern clear on his face. Are you all right? I'm perfect. And she means it. Facing Marcus without fear, standing up for herself, knowing Theron was right there if she needed him. It's the final piece clicking into place. Thank you for letting me handle it. You didn't need me to handle it. You're stronger than you know. He pulls her into his arms. I'm so proud of you. That evening, Vivian visits with news. Words spreading through vampire society about what happened with Marcus. How you faced down your ex-husband without flinching. How Theron backed you up without taking over. She grins. You're becoming something of a legend, Margot Reeves. The human who won a vampire king's heart and didn't let it change who she is. I don't want to be a legend, Margot protests. Too late. You're Theron's companion, his equal in all ways that matter. That's significant in our world. Later, alone with Theron in his library, Margot curls into his side on the sofa. Do you ever regret this? Choosing me? Never. Not once. Not for a second. He kisses the top of her head. You're the best thing to happen to me in over a century. Why would I regret that? Because I'm human. Because I'll age, and you won't. Because eventually... She stops, unable to finish. Because eventually you'll die, and I'll have to face centuries without you? Theron turns her to face him. I've thought about that. Of course I have. But Margot, 50 years with you is worth the grief that comes after. 30 years, 20, even 10, however long we have together. It'll be worth it. You've reminded me what it means to be alive, rather than just existing. There are options, Margot says carefully. You could turn me, make me like you. Theron goes very still. Is that what you want? I don't know. Maybe someday. But I want you to know I'd consider it. For you. For us. If you ever decide that's what you truly want, we'll talk about it seriously. But Margot, I need you to understand. Being turned isn't romantic. It's death and rebirth. It's giving up sunlight, human food, the life you know. It changes you fundamentally. His silver eyes hold hers. I love you exactly as you are. Human, mortal, perfect. Don't change for me. Change only if it's what you want for yourself. I love you so much, Margot whispers. And I love you, my remarkable, brave, beautiful Margot. He kisses her deeply. My salvation. They sit together in comfortable silence, watching the fire, and Margot thinks about her journey. From terrified waitress to vampire king's beloved. From barely surviving to truly living. From a wrong number text to the greatest love of her life. What are you thinking? Theron asks. That I'm glad I mistyped that number. That I'm glad you answered. That everything terrible I went through was worth it because it led me to you. I'm glad you found me too, even if it took you being in danger to make it happen. He pulls her closer, though I'd prefer all future contact to be intentional rather than accidental. Margot laughs, feeling light and free and loved. I think I can manage that. Outside, snow begins to fall, covering the estate grounds in white. Inside, safe in Theron's arms, Margot has everything she never knew she needed. Love, security, and the freedom to be herself. She sent a text asking for help, and a vampire king answered, I'm already there. And he's been there ever since, will be there always, protecting and loving the woman who accidentally stumbled into his life and changed everything. Forever, Theron promises, reading her thoughts and the emotions she can't hide. Forever, Margot agrees, and for the first time in her life, forever doesn't seem scary. It seems perfect.